What happens when joy becomes dangerous? When creativity becomes control? If Pluto lives in your fifth house in your natal chart, so you were born with Pluto in this house in your natal chart, you carry a memory, not just of what was lost, but of who tried to steal your light and failed. Because in this lifetime, your joy is your revolt. And your creativity, oh, your creativity, that is your resurrection. So who is Pluto? Pluto, I can tell you right now, is not here for performance. He is here for the truth. In mythology, Pluto was the god of the underworld. But in astrology, he is the force that uncovers what's been buried. The secrets, the shame, and the silenced power. He rules or governs death, rebirth, power, wealth, and transformation. And every time Pluto touches a part of your chart, he asks one question. Will you face what you've been afraid to feel? Now, he is not cruel, but he is precise. And he finds the wound you've carried across lifetimes. And he asks if this is the lifetime that you're ready to heal it. We don't have to. We can choose to bypass. And we can choose to bypass it again. We can choose to let others define our power. We can choose to perform instead of feel. Hide our light to avoid being too much. Pluto keeps the receipts, and he will return in another life, another form, another wound, until the moment you finally say, this ends with me. And when you do, the transformation is nothing short of sacred. Your body changes, your energy expands, your voice strengthens. Your life stops being a performance of who you were told to be and becomes a reclamation of who you've always been. Pluto doesn't just want you to break you, he wants to birth you. And when Pluto lives in your fifth house, he's here to rebirth your joy. So what does it mean to have Pluto, your natal Pluto, in the fifth house? I call this the stolen fire. This is the placement of a child who learned too early that joy wasn't safe, that creativity had consequences, that being seen might just get you hurt. You may have grown up in a home where love was conditional, where affection was given when you performed, when you behaved, when you pleased, where your gifts were praised, but only if they made others proud, where your brightness was so beautiful, but also threatening. So you learned to edit yourself, to tone it down, to keep it polite, to stop dancing, to quiet the laugh, to be acceptable, even if it meant being unseen. And the wound didn't begin in this lifetime. I can tell you that for sure. You may carry echoes of lifetimes where your light was currency, lifetimes as a sacred performer, a mystical child, a radiant lover whose beauty or genius was controlled by a master, a priesthood, a parent, a crowd. You may remember being punished for art. Maybe you even remember being punished for joy or punished for pleasure. Somewhere in your soul line, a belief formed. And it was probably one of these. If I shine too brightly, I'll be punished. If I'm too free, I'll be abandoned. If I create from my heart, I'll lose everything. Does this sound familiar to any of you? Comment down below if this is resonating with you. And let me tell you, the body still remembers. The tightening in your throat when it's time to speak. The impulse to dim yourself in rooms full of people. The reflex to downplay your art, your magic, your joy. Because deep down, you wonder, what will it cost me if I let myself be seen? Maybe you've loved people who asked you to be smaller. Maybe your joy became a threat in your relationships. Maybe your radiance was once praised and then punished. Maybe your inner child still hides behind your adult mask. This is Pluto's lesson in the fifth house. That true power doesn't come from control. It comes from creativity and creative sovereignty. This isn't about ego. This is about essence. You weren't born to perform, beautiful one. You were born to express truth. You weren't sent here to keep the peace. You were sent here to stir the soul. You don't owe anyone an apology for your light, but you do owe your inner child her return. Because, beautiful one, your joy is not trivial. Your joy is the revolution. So let's talk a little bit about what happens when Pluto is in the fifth house in a society, right? On the collective level, right? The wound that is in the fifth house when Pluto is there. And this wound, it's not just yours. We live in a world that is terrified by unregulated joy, of pleasure that isn't bought, of creativity that can't be monetized, of children that refuse to conform. Does all this sound familiar? Of women who dance for no one but themselves. This is a society that turns play into profit, turns art into industry, turns sexuality into performance, and turns love into control. From the classroom to the stage, from the bedroom to the boardroom, we're taught that true expression must be filtered through permission. And so, what do? We raise children to perform instead of feel. We shame pleasure. We mock sensitivity. We reward only what sells. We punish the bold. And we silence the ones who refuse to shrink. Pluto in the fifth house doesn't just ask you to reclaim your light. It asks you to become the antidote to a culture that has turned the sacred into spectacle. Your healing becomes a form of protest. Your joy becomes a sacred defiance. And your creativity, it becomes a doorway to collective rebirth. So before we talk about the healing of Pluto in the fifth house, let me remind you, this is Pluto. This is the sign for Pluto. This is the fifth house. Okay. Now, if we're going to look for healing, we want to look to the 11th house, the opposite, right? But before even then, why would we want to heal Pluto in the fifth house, right? So let me give you some reasons. Because, beautiful one, carrying the shame of your own brilliance has got to be exhausting, because dimming yourself to stay safe is a form of spiritual starvation. Because this life isn't meant to be a repetition of every lifetime where you had to trade authenticity for belonging. Pluto wounds are deep, but they're not eternal. The moment you choose to meet the wound with power, your entire life begins to shift. To heal, to heal the fifth house, we turn towards its opposite, the 11th. Okay? The 11th house, the domain of collective vision, soul community, and the future. If the 5th house is your light, then the 11th house is where the light becomes the lantern for others. This is where you remember you were never meant to shine alone. You were meant to spark liberation through connection. So now that we've made our decision to heal, or if we make our decision to heal, how do we do that, right? What do we need to practice? What tools can I help you with, right? So let me give you some. Number 1, show your joy publicly without explaining it. You don't need to explain anything to anybody, but show your joy. And how can we do this? Well, since we're living in this age, share a dance, share a laugh, wear the color, publish the poem, not for applause, but for freedom. You are retraining your nervous system when you do this to see joy as safe. Okay? That's 1. Number 2, create a community. Join or start a sacred circle, a writing group, a movement class. Let your creativity breathe with others. The 11th house reminds you, remember the 11th house. The 11th house reminds you healing is amplified when it's in community. Okay? Number 3, teach what you were shamed for. I mean, is that not a better way, best way? Were you told you were too loud? You were too sensitive? You were too artistic? That's the exact medicine someone else is craving. And trust me, someone else is craving this. So create a video, host a workshop, open a portal for others. When you share what was once suppressed in you, you alchemize the wound. Okay? Number 4, channel a future you who is free. Sit quietly. Place one hand over your heart, one hand in your belly, right where you're right underneath your belly button. Close your eyes. That's your sacral chakra. Okay? Close your eyes and call forward your future self, the one who never apologized for shining. And ask them, what do I need to do today to set her free? And then, and this is the big one, listen. And then do one small thing they show you. Okay? And let's do a breathing and visualization ritual, embodying the return, right? So once you practice these things, this is up to you whether you're going to do your Pluto wound or not. Okay. And if you choose, you can take all of these or you can take one of these. Each of these, I'm just giving you the tools. It's up to you and your path whether you want to do it. Okay. So once you do it, let me give you a breath and visualization ritual, right? To embody the return. Okay. So you're not imagining the fire. You're remembering the flame. Okay. Again, you are not imagining the fire. You're remembering your flame. Sit or lie down in a quiet, comfortable place. Place one hand over your heart and the other over your sacral chakra, which is right underneath your belly button. Okay? Close your eyes. Now breathe with me. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4. And then hold for 4. And then exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 pauses. Okay? For a count of 6. Then pause for 2. I'll say that again. You inhale through your nose for 4. Then you hold it for 2. Sorry. You inhale. Sorry. You inhale through your nose for 4 counts. and then you hold it for 4 counts, and then you exhale through your mouth for 6 counts, and then you pause for 2, and then you do it again. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale slowly through your mouth for 6, and then pause for 2. Let each breath call your joy home. Let each release, each exhale, release the belief that joy is dangerous. No, it's not, right? Release that. And now see it. A sacred stage appears, not one made of spotlights, but of wildflowers and warmth. And on that stage is you, your inner child. And what are you doing? Are you dancing? Are you laughing? Are you creating? Not for anyone's approval, but because it just feels like your truth. That's joy. You know joy. And you, the adult, you're just there to witness it. Simply witness it. Say out loud or in silence, you are allowed. You are adored. You are free to shine. Then I'd like for you to place both hands over your heart now and whisper, my joy is not a memory. My joy is a birthright. And I call it back now. And then take one final breath when you're ready and come back. Okay? Now you can repeat this. Come back, watch it again until you get this down, because this is so important, because I'm going to tell you why it works. Because the 5th house wound says, I must hide my joy to survive. But the 11th house truth says, my joy was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to ignite others. When you allow your creativity to exist without apology, and let it belong to something greater than yourself, it stops being dangerous and it becomes divine. You are not healing just for yourself. You are breaking the spell cast over generations who believed they had to shrink to be safe. And every time you choose to show up radiant, joyful, honest, well, my beautiful one, you become a mirror for someone else's liberation. Now, with all that, let me give you this quick affirmation that you can do daily, or write it down, breathe it daily. It's just a quick affirmation, okay? I want you to say, my joy is not a performance. My joy is a remembrance. I am not too much. I am the light returning home. Now let's talk a little bit about what it means to have Pluto in Aquarius, which is our transit. And what we mean by transit, for those of you that don't know astrology, that's fine. You don't need to know to watch this video. Okay. We have these planets and points in our chart when we are born. You can think of it as the universe taking a picture the moment you were born. That's where the planets and everything was when you were born. Now we have transits, which the planets are moving all throughout life, throughout time, right? So a transit, if right now we all have Pluto in Aquarius, and it started in 2024, and it is going to last, because it's a long transit, it is going to last to 2044, 2043. That's when it kind of goes back and forth. But 2044 will be when it finally moves out of there, right? So we all, as a society right now, have Pluto in Aquarius. What does that mean, right? So let me explain that a little bit. As Pluto begins, it's his descent through Aquarius, right? And before I even begin, I have a whole series. I talk about, and I'll leave it up here, but I talk about Pluto in Aquarius and what's going to be unfolding for us. Okay. So I'll leave that video up here so you guys can just click on it and see it. Please go watch it. This stuff is here to help you guys. Because the more we know, right? The better we'll be able to handle things, right? All right. So as Pluto begins his descent through Aquarius, if this is in your fifth house, though, prepare to meet yourself through fire. So let me explain that. If you look at your chart, your birth chart, and you happen to have Aquarius, this symbol in your fifth house, then I'm going to explain how Pluto is going to unfold for you in the fifth house, because that means it's transiting. You weren't born with it this way, but that means it's coming this way. Okay. So this is the house of the inner child. This is the artist, the lover, the star. And Pluto, he doesn't knock gently, right? He decimates. He decimates. He detonates. I was trying to say both at the same time. He detonates what's false. So only what's real can rise. Okay. This is the soul's invitation to create without apology. Okay. To love without armor. To shine without shame. Okay. So the collective, what's collapsing around us, and we can see this. I want you guys, you're going to be able to see this. If it hasn't happened already, it's going to happen. Okay. We are watching the collective fifth house fall apart. The monetization of art is becoming unrecognizable. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is replacing human expression. Children's bodies, choices, and minds are politicized. Visibility is reduced to performance, filters, and attention-grabbing algorithms. Love is distorted into control, and sexuality is consumed instead of honored. Pluto in Aquarius brings collapse, but not to punish us, it's to purify. We are entering an age where authenticity, and this has been going on for the last 3 years, where authenticity is the only true power. And you beautiful ones are a pioneer that shifts. Okay? You can see, if you go back and watch my videos, my little shorts on YouTube, I have been talking about the authenticity for a while. So it's happening. Okay. So all that I've just said, that's all great and wonderful, and we're seeing it in society and we're understanding it better. But how does that apply to you, right? Why does that matter to you, right? What can you do? What do you want to do? What do you want to be, right? So this is what you may be feeling, right? In this transit, when this is happening for the next 20 years, 19 and a half, this transit may unearth every part of you that still believes, I have to earn love. My joy is too much. If I express myself, I'll be rejected. If I shine, someone will try to take it away, right? You may also feel exposed, unsteady, alive, furious, radiant, all in the same breath, right? And that can drive anyone insane. But just know you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That is perfectly fine. You are okay. Just remember, you are not being punished. You are being reborn. So let the parts of you that were censored be channeled. Let the play you were denied become a practice. Let your pain become paint. Pluto will not leave you the same. But if you walk through this, you will not leave the world the same either. Let me see if I can give it to you another way so that you really understand this, okay? Let this be your era to create worlds. This is not the time to shrink back. This is not the lifetime you play small. This is the lifetime you came to make art that heals timelines. This is the lifetime you came to raise children who remember their divinity. This is the lifetime you came to channel joy as a force of liberation. This is the lifetime you came to lead the way, not through ego, but through embodied expression. Because when you shine, you in particular, you fifth house, when you shine, you don't just light up your path, you remind others of theirs. And one last thing, you are not here to be palatable. You are here to be powerful. You are not here to perform. You are here to create worlds. Let your art be wild. Let your love be untamed. Let your joy become the revolution. This is Pluto in the fifth house. And this, my beautiful one, is your invitation to rise. One last thing. If this message has moved something inside of you, if it has caused you to remember something, know that you don't have to walk this journey alone. I offer weekly guidance in this hero series, Pluto Through the Houses, where we explore each placement as a path of remembrance, not a sentence. You can also explore my other hero series, The Soul's Path, where we journey through the North Node, the Astrology of Your Becoming, where I'm mapping the evolution of your identity. And each week in Sacred Sync, I channel messages in rhythm with the current energy. These are not just videos. And I mean this when I say this. These are not just videos. These are medicine. And they are here to remind you that you especially, each and every one of you, you're not broken. You're remembering. So subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone whose light you miss, and comment below. And this is really important. Please comment below and tell me, what are you ready to express without apology? And what would happen if you did it anyway?